We're going to be talking about driving a little bit. Thought we'd have a little tune thrown your way. Life is a highway, right? So we'd all agree with that life is a highway, and we just, man, we're thankful if we know the Lord, if we're being divinely driven, which is the name of this talk, is being divinely driven. So if you want to take notes, you might want to jot that down. I'm also going to be throwing some scripture verses your way, so you may want to jot those down as we're going as well, so that you'll have those to refer back to. But, you know, when I was 16, I'm going to be so real with you. Actually, before I was 16, probably about age 14 until I hit 16, I was so pumped and so excited about getting my license. I mean, can y'all all relate? Anybody else like, woohoo, yeah, that was one of your like big, huge dreams and goals, you know, is to be able to get your license, to be able to have that freedom of jumping in that car, you know, cranking up your tunes, rolling down your windows, and like going to your friend's house, going wherever. Or even, you know, I can remember getting to drive to school. That was the coolest, greatest thing ever, right? Is to be able to drive. So we're going to talk about today what it means to be divinely driven. So let's fire away. I'm going to hit you with a few things that I feel like, hopefully, or I feel like they're essential in a sense of kind of going along with this, a little bit of an object lesson per se. I'll kind of give you, we're going to get through about half of this. We may do the other half next week or another time or whatever. So whatever is the Lord's will, because I don't want you to be like, snooze fest if it's too long. So first things up, I want to hit you with, woohoo, check it, speed bump ahead. All right, so when you think about speed bump, what do you think about? Does anybody think that, oh, speed bump, yeah, boom, let's hit it, and then like see how, you know, where it like throws everything in the car? No, you think, ooh, we're at Target, it's my favorite, one of my favorite places to shop, cruising right along, there's a speed bump. You start to slow down, don't you? Because if you go zoom and you hit it, it's like boom, like everything in the car goes everywhere, and you can even knock your tires out of alignment, which costs money to get fixed. And so it is so important to make sure that we're being cautious, right? And that we're doing whenever we have the notice of like, hey, speed bump ahead, we can slow our roll. Right now, we all may feel like we're kind of more so in a roadblock. Anybody like, woohoo, yep, When you feel like, gosh, it's so weird, it's uncharted territory. We don't know what it's like to always, you know, to be at home kind of thing. But we know that we're making these decisions for the greater good. And so a speed bump is for the greater good, right? It's like if we don't slow our roll, then we're in a parking lot, we could hit somebody. And so what I want you to take away from this one is that sometimes we need to slow down. And it's so important that we do slow down. Maybe we need to have an attitude or mindset change, because doing that does serve a purpose. And so I want to encourage you, jot this down so you can have it to go along with speed bump. Philippians 4:6, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. And Psalms 46:10, be still and know. Because whenever we're able to be still and know that God is God and He's so powerful, then our roadblocks aren't what we're really focused on. Maybe we can have a good attitude about, it's just a speed bump. It's just slowing me down just a little bit, and I'm going to continue to pursue after the Lord. But you're out of that parking lot, baby, and you got the life as a highway, and you're zoom, zoom-a-doom. Woo! Speed limit 55, right? So when you see speed limit 55, when you see that, who does that mean 60 to? Or 65 to? Or 75? If that's you, put your hand down, girl, and slow down, because you are precious cargo. So remember, slow your roll just a little bit. Lead foot Lucy, get your foot off the pedal, right? If you don't follow the speed limit, what's going to happen? You are going to have consequences, right? You hear the woo, 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 the police. You don't see the blue light special. Kmart closed, right? But 55, you got to slow down, because if you don't, there's consequences to your actions. There's consequences to your lack of following the rules. So it's that way for a reason. You got to obey. So what in your life is God trying to say, hey, you know what? I've set these limitations on you because I need for you to just follow my plan. I need you to obey, because if you don't, then guys, I mean, before you know it, the consequences because of your lack of obedience and your lack of action could lead you into a really terrible, awful, just uncomfortable situation. Just like it'd be really uncomfortable to have to go to driving school or to have to go before the judge in court and to try to petition to keep your license because you've had so many punches on them that you're losing them. You know what I mean? Like just things like that, kind of giving you the little object lesson of a speed limit sign. So from here on out, whenever you see speed limit, I want you to think about Luke 11:28 is to hear the word of God and put it into practice. There's rules for a purpose. God gives us his provision and his plan for a purpose. So make sure that you might need to, if you're Speedy Gonzalez, slow it down, right? So I'm going to kind of pull this one in together. I've got several more. Like I said, we may build on this. If y'all like it, we can talk about it tonight. But I wanted to kind of wrap up with dead end because, you know, when I think about dead end, I think we can all relate that whenever we've been out traveling somewhere, we go down a road, we make a turn, wrong turn, whatever, and you're like, oh, snap, crackle, pop, man. Like, shucks, I've hit a dead end, right? And so then you got to figure out a place to turn around, and it might be like this big, like creepy house that you're like, was this in a haunted, like scary movie? But I mean, you know, just in all reality, I mean, sometimes dead ends take us to places that we don't want to be. And that's life, you know. I just believe that God's always with us, though, regardless of what our choices are. When we make a choice that leads us to a dead end, that Jesus never leaves us, y'all. The Bible tells us he'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. And then Colossians 1:13 tells us that God, in all his goodness, rescues us. And so just a little story time I'll share with you is that I grew up with people who did not make the best choices, with a mom and a stepdad who unfortunately they didn't choose to walk in the light and the love of Jesus. And so they made choices of deciding to be drug dealers, to sell drugs, to buy drugs, to put drugs into their body and alcohol. So all of that abuse, I believe that, I mean, unfortunately, like it impacted them. It impacted their health all the way around. It impacted their mental clarity. And so having to grow up like that, y'all, I'll be honest with you, shoot you straight, I really felt like I was living in a dead end. I felt like it was just really, really, it was really hard, really a very sad upbringing. But you know what's so cool is I shared with you, right? You know, that verse about God rescues us, Colossians 1:13, is that, you know, I took away in my adulthood is that God didn't leave me there. He did not leave me in a dead end. And so I want to ask you, do you know somebody that you've witnessed, like, you're like, oh, yep, they're in a dead end? Or maybe you felt like that before as well. I do hope that from here on out, if you see a dead end sign, that it's going to help you to stop and think about, how do I need to allow the Lord to reroute what he has for me, the plan that he has for my life. As Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that he has such a beautiful plan, right? It says, I know that the Lord has a plan to prosper me and give me a hope and a future. So we get to cling to that, right? We get to cling to Proverbs 3:5-6 that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. And so sometimes we may feel like our paths are a little bit crooked, right? And then we're like, oh, snap, crackle, pop. Like you're trying so hard to get back on the straight and narrow. And so I just want to encourage you, stay the course. Always, always, always yield, right? Yield to God's goodness. Yield, submit, surrender. Because when we yield to God, y'all, then God's will help us to discover the destiny that he's created us for. And that's Proverbs 3:5-6 on the yield sign. So I'll kind of wrap it up because I know this video is kind of getting a little bit lengthy. But I want to encourage you to just, as we're talking through this, think about some other street signs that you saw. And I want you to jot that down, maybe make a mental note. Everybody pick 1 or 2 signs that you're like, ooh, I want to turn this in to a biblical lesson as well. Maybe you're going to do the stop sign. Maybe you want to do the red light, green light, yellow light, and share what you could create a metaphor out of with that. You know, I've got several here to kind of give you, but I'd love it if you'll come up with your own version, like do not enter. You got something, hit us with it. Wrong way, give us something with wrong way. Woo-hoo. We all sometimes, we all need people. Us ourselves, U-turn. So I want you to find some verses that go with these. Maybe one way. Maybe find a verse that goes that way. Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. Or who we walking through life with. There's just some. I want to hear your ideas. So will you bring it tonight with us? Think of some street signs out there that you're like, oh man, this is so good. I want to bring this, and I want you to write it down and to teach us. So think of a street sign that you want to write your own little object lesson about. Maybe you do 2 of them if you're like, oh, I got this one, it's so good, and a Bible verse that goes with it. And let's talk about it tonight, okay? With Mondays with Media. I can't wait to hear what God is given you so that you can teach all of us. Ladies, you're amazing and you're awesome. Know that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'm so excited about the mission that God has called you for. Know that you're created for a purpose, on purpose. So let's rock it out tonight. Can't hear what God gives you. So let's go, as my shirt says, like, woo, right? Great Commission. And so I'm excited for that time. Like, check below and you'll be able to see the Zoom link. I'm excited to spend time with you tonight. Can't wait. Don't forget, bring it, girls. Life is a highway. We're going to ride it all night long, right? I don't know if that's even the right lyrics, but you're amazing. I'll see you soon. Remember, keep praying it up because prayer changes things. Believe and receive, for doubt and do without. See y'all.